Hi, blood bankers. This training session is on the revision of our occurrence management to our newly named deviation, documentation, and management. So the reason for this change is that there was a little confusion on error management in relation to occurrences are how we document absence or unplanned absences. Those are documented as occurrence, but then we also use the exact same word or the exact same form for error management in relation to quality investigations. Excuse me. So for this reason, we have changed the name of our quality management documentation system to a deviation documentation versus an occurrence. So that's the first change. Within the SOP, there's some changes related to then the definitions. So we've defined a deviation as an unexpected incident, and this includes all errors, accidents, unplanned deviations from SOP, or complaints. Below are just some definitions that were in the procedure before. And then the next part of the change to consider is in our policy statements. So there's been some small wording changes throughout the policy statements. The biggest policy statement is the new verification or just clarification about deviations. So we will continue to follow the error detection and correction from the DPLM standpoint, but number 9 also clarifies again and reiterates that deviations are not punitive. The blood bank, however, will track team members' errors and address any trends that we see related to those errors. So individual errors are not punitive. However, we want to clarify that it is considered if an individual has a trend or again, not responding appropriately with corrective action to deviations that occur, or if they have one intentional deviation from SOP that would impact patient care or the safety or quality of our work. It could also then lead to corrective or performance corrective action or performance discrepancies. So realize this section is new. Please review it. Again, you are part of our corrective actions. You are part of making our laboratory better every day. So really this section is just stating what we already know, which is, again, you are part, that number 2 talks about that we will forward incidents to you. We ask you to acknowledge and review the situation. Realize I have to ask him questions. So this year we are going to try to send individual emails, as well as we will have individual mailboxes in the laboratory at Riley. So when we post a document to you for your review, please be timely with your review of those incidents. Again, we ask you, even if as part of your investigation you determine that you were not involved, that again, we're not looking for a guilty party. We're looking for what happened and how we can prevent it from happening in the future. So feel free to acknowledge your review by signing the deviation, unplanned deviation form and sending that back to us. In addition, in the email that I'll notify you that there's something to review, I may ask a question, say, hey, here's what happened. Here's what I think happened. Can you please answer the following question to help us verify that? So remember that you are part of corrective action, and we really hope that you will give us information that can help us update our procedure, update a form, get information from the floor, make sure we get the right information to make things better in the lab. So the other parts of the procedure then that have changed, we have small wording changes throughout. The biggest change to the procedure is that we are no longer using the DPLM form, but we have changed to this unplanned deviation report. Okay, so this looks familiar, but it is now specific to the blood bank. So when you're filling out this form, new copies have been submitted out to each location, but realize we've got some just some reminders of how to fill this out. So in the section, sorry, let me get the right copy here, you are going to fill out the top, okay? So this is who found the situation, who found the incidents, what happened, when did it happen, where did it happen, who was involved. All the details need to go in this section right here. How you verify that information then is tallied, and then what's your short-term corrective action? What did you do when you found this out, okay? Then you're going to attach your documentation or anything that supports what happened, and especially, and this is a reminder, I do want to, if you know who was involved, please be specific and give us those details so that I don't have to search to try to figure out who was involved in the situation, okay? So you'll indicate who reported it, who was involved, what were the details, and what was your action. And then you're going to forward that information to the supervisor review box so we can start part 2, which is looking at the root cause and trying to find appropriate corrective actions, okay? So let's look at one would look like. This is an example of one that was just filled out. Again, just the top part is filled out. So this example is I reported it. This is the date that I discovered it, but this is when it occurred. This is the patient that was involved. And remember, always provide a medical record number if you can. Then this unit was not label validated and could not be assigned to this patient. So I found it as part of audit and review, and I corrected the unit in Cerner, then made it available for use. So then I attached my information, or filled out my form, and attached additional information to, again, maybe a screen print from Cerner, so it gives me information. Now, the other thing I want to reiterate to you is that you also can do this electronically. Now, doesn't that look awesome? So how are you going to do that? I'm going to scan up here. Is that you would go to Policy Stat, and in Policy Stat, you would bring up Unplanned Deviation. Unplanned Deviation Report, again, is your new form. If you pull the Unplanned Deviation Report, click on the PDF, okay, then this is going to allow you to document this electronically, okay, and then realize as you put more in the box, it will get smaller, okay, but you can then print this document, okay, as opposed to writing it out, okay. So as soon as you fill in your information, okay, you're going to fill in your information, fill in your date and time discovered, fill in each section, okay, and again here you're going to give yourself some more space. Then you can just, you can blacken the how it was discovered, and then fill in this. Granted, this gets really big. Let me show you what it does. All right. It gets smaller, so you can put more information in, okay? So you're going to print that out. You do not have to save it. Just print it and attach it to the document, okay? Now, with that said, there's one section left in the SOP, so we have a new form, we have some new definitions, and then the last thing that is part of this revision is just the addition of our new MRB, or Medical or Material Review Board. When we have a situation where we have quality control, equipment failures, when we have distributed products and test results, we have to do an impact assessment. Those impact assessments and investigation then gets reviewed by Dr. Lay, who then makes a decision on our next action. So we would do the deviation, do an impact assessment to see what testing was impacted. We would do basically what we think would be an acceptable response, and then we review that with Dr. Lay specifically because either units were involved or, again, test results. Examples of things that we would find is if QC was not documented on a particular day, we might do it on that day to say, okay, a list for some reason did not get the CUMS documented. We then need to look back to see if there was any CUMS or list testing done on that day. if there was, we then need to let Dr. Lay know that the quality control was not completed. Then she can decide based on the fact generally that QC was okay the day before and the day after. Therefore, we can assume that that quality control was acceptable for the lots in use. But then she then signs off and accepts that risk. Okay. So I hope this video was helpful. We do have, again, this is just one of the many changes as we go to Riley that we wanted to impact and get going on. But this new form I think you'll find is very helpful. That you can not only do it electronic and print it so it looks nice and easy to read. You can also, again, do it as you can write it. So again, you can either print it or you can write it. These forms are available. And then also please read clearly the SOP so that we understand the purpose of this change. Thank you. I'll be glad to field any questions that you have.